Mr. Chair, Chairman Cole, and Ranking Member DeLaura, and thank you, Chair Homendy, for being here this morning. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out and say hello to my former mayor, Alvin Brown. Great to see you again, Mayor. I want to go back to the report on that you released in the middle of the Francis Scott Key investigation, because that to me is highly unusual for you all to do that, which means you're thinking there's a real serious issue here that we need to be paying attention to. And so when I look at this report, it becomes even more important to me when I see one of my major bridges, the Dames Point, the Napoleon Bonaparte Dames Point Bridge, is on that report, and it's part of the I-295 infrastructure. Hundreds of cars sit on that bridge every day, twice a day. And I see under the classification, it's critical and essential. And so can you tell me, is that a description of the bridge's function, or is that a classification of the bridge's danger?
That's a classification that AASHTO, the state highway transportation officials, give to bridges. In their guide, in their standard, they designate bridges either as critical essential, meaning passengers have to get it. It's a key corridor. It's a key route.
Okay. So it's more the use than
and then there's others that are
exposure.
typical. That's correct.
But there's also a tremendous amount of exposure on this bridge because it sits in between. It cuts right through our Jacksport operation, which is shipping coming in and out all day, every day, and it literally splits the port. So I'm really going to go back and get with FDOT and after your testimony and find out what we're doing in regards to that. So I thank you for that. Are there any critical next steps that you think we in Congress can do to expedite the number of, 68, 69 bridges that haven't been evaluated yet?
Just to encourage bridge owners and to work with the Federal Highway Administration and the U.S. Coast Guard and Army Corps of Engineers, who we also recommended to help provide guidance and assistance to the states in order to do their vulnerability assessments. We're not saying these are bridges that are at risk of collapse if there's a vessel collision. Mm-hmm. What we're saying is to figure it out. Look and see if it is at risk. Do those mathematical calculations. And if you determine there is, then you have that information where you can take proactive action before something terrible occurs.
Right. Let me ask, as a former first responder myself, I've worked closely with your team on several severe incidents that occurred in our jurisdiction. But I never, and sometimes it was fits and starts. It depended who showed up, how smoothly everything went. Is there any type of training that we could support for NTSB to work with some state and local first responders on how we can prepare scenes for you before you show up? Those sorts of things that we can be a force multiplier for you before your investigators do show up.
Well, Eric Grossoff, who is our Chief of Special Operations, is going to be really happy you asked that question because he, in particular, he runs our Response Operations Center, and his entire focus is reaching out to law enforcement and firefighters to educate them on what the NTSB's process is and how they can be helpful. my dream would be, or my goal would be, to give him additional personnel, 4 or 5 people, so that he can split up the country and they could be very focused in regions on helping train first responders to be able to be to work with them on the initial stages of an accident. We do that now. I actually speak at a course at the FBI Training Center in Quantico that is focused on law enforcement officers in hopes of developing that relationship before something tragic occurs.
Very good. But also,
It's the 4 or 5 people would be, we estimate with training about $200,000 per employee because of travel and everything else. That's not how much they make. So it's a small investment with a big payoff. We appreciate that.
thank you. Mr. Chairman, I see my time is up. I yield back. But I will tell you, I think that's something that we really need to look at. Talk about bang for your buck. Before the NTSB even gets there, we can be working for them. And so I'd appreciate a look at that.
Good point. Thank you, Sheriff.